Yo, happy Friday, everybody. It's a special episode of the pod because it's a good Friday. It's not Easter time, it's not Kanye, but it's a good Friday. Why? Clipse back officially. It's here. We've been waiting for a while, but it's finally time. Not only did we get an official release date for Let God Sort 'Em Out, but we got a single. So July 11th is when the album is dropping, but today, Friday, May 30th, we got the first song from the album officially released, entitled Ace Trumpets. Thursday night, we all had our play clothes, tees, and black Air Force Ones laid out. Shout out to the homie VersaceChopstik on Twitter. A pic that he posted about 5 years ago went viral again, thanks to the anticipation of the Clipse album. So congrats to him. Graduated pharmacy school this week, I think. But everybody was ready. Anticipation was high. We knew that today was going to be the day that we finally been waiting for. You know, we got the teasing, got the interviews and mention this album for it's almost a year, right? Almost a year of like official speculation. More than that, if you include when the song from the I Know Nigo album dropped, and then when we got Malice coming back on Pusha's Almost Dry album. So it's here. It's official and it's here. So I just wanted to hop on real quick and share a couple quick thoughts. So let's talk about the rollout. The rollout has been very good. The single release date announcement and the single announcement and the release date announcement both had crazy visuals that went with it. We also got LetGodSortEmOut.com, which is a merch site. So we got some cool merch that's going to come out that's available to go with the album as well. So rollout has been well done, which I think is important nowadays. Like it's not back in the 90s, 2000s where you have the single drop and the radio play and you got a music video on BET. Like all that is done. It's literally like social media, digital media focused, and it's got to be intentional and get people's attention and have people talking. And I think they've done a great job of that, considering, you know, how long we've been waiting and people have been talking about and speculating about this album for months. So one thing that I think is interesting, I've seen some talk about it, but not a lot. This idea, this conversation around the Roc Nation distribution. So like that was also part of the rollout of this week alone. So it was announcing that it was going to be distributed through Roc Nation, then announcing the single was coming out, and then announcing the date of the album, all this week. The timing of it being after a holiday weekend too is not lost on me from a marketing standpoint. Like everyone's chilling on Monday, and then all of a sudden, you know, there's not a lot of people that want to go super hard the week after a long holiday weekend. So this is a perfect time to drop it and hit it back to back to back. I think that's just my opinion. But back to the Roc Nation thing. So if you remember, back in October, the Clipse posted pics of like an official visit at Def Jam. And it was kind of just assumed. I think some outlets reported that it was official, but I don't think I ever saw anything official come out from the Clipse or Def Jam to say that they had officially signed. You know, since then, those pics have been taken off, or maybe not, or maybe never were there in the first place, but they're not on the social media like homepages of either of the brothers, the Thornton brothers. So, you know, now that the album release date is out and we talk about the single, like, and it's official that's on Roc Nation, you wonder what happened. You know, there's something that happened there that no one really talked about. But, you know, and obviously Pusha is still technically, like, he's listed on the roster of being part of Def Jam on Def Jam's roster, like on Def Jam's website. So, like, I think that's a relationship still exists, but my hunch is, and you know, I like to get into the not conspiracy theories, but I like to like speculate when it comes to what I think would be the biggest, coolest thing to do. And so we've had conversation on this podcast. There's been a conversation on the internet about, you know, Pusha mentioning they're just waiting for one feature. Who's the feature gonna be? We know Nas is already on the album, but then this question of, is that remaining feature, is it Kendrick or Hove? So I think that it's both. First of all, I think Pusha going to the Kendrick concert a couple weeks ago, I think that checks the box that the Kendrick one is coming. And that's just my speculation. And then the second thing is this Roc Nation thing, to me, solidifies that Hove is on there too. And the reason why I say that is I feel like we know Hove being the businessman that he is, and Hove doesn't come out anymore. Like, Hove is on tour with Beyonce. He's helping to write Beyonce songs, and he's getting credit for that. Other than God Did, which was in 2022, and it wasn't on Roc Nation, but DJ Khaled's Roc Nation affiliated, and I think they had the soundtrack for Book of Clarence. Like, that's all he's done in the past 3-ish years, right? So to me, it makes sense that if Hove is gonna come out, he's like, I'm gonna put it on. Like, it's got to be on my thing, so it's done my way, and he gets the credit that he wants for it, and gets to do it how he wants to do it. That makes sense to me, considering the businessman that we know Hove to be, but also the relationship that they have. Like, there's tons of mutual respect between Hove and Pusha and Malice, and Pharrell, obviously, multiple time frequent collaborator with Pharrell and Jay-Z, the Neptunes, with Chad and stuff. So I think that all makes sense to me. I think Hove, again, knows good business. He also knows how much of a big deal this album and them coming back together is for the culture of hip-hop, and like him having his Roc Nation imprint be involved in that moment. I think it makes good business sense. But then also to throw in the whole verse too, that makes a lot of sense too. So I don't know. Let's see if I'm right. Those are my two predictions. Hove and Kendrick, and the underlying idea is that Hove got on there because it's through Roc Nation. That partnership is part of the reason why the verse is on there. But we'll see. Speculation, but that's why we do this. We just like to talk about it, is have fun with it. All right, let's get into the music. So Ace Trumpets is short and sweet, a verse each from Pusha and Malice. Pusha raps first to set the tone, and Malice finishes strong. Like that's a formula that's worked well for them a lot throughout their career. It's like in baseball. Pusha's the ace who's going to come, the starting pitcher who's going to come in and, give you 7-8 strong, solid innings, dominating baseball. And then you got Malice coming in as the closer, striking out all the batters in the last couple innings. That showcases the dynamic that I think is really cool. Like I said, I think that formula works. Like, it's also some of the best examples of that, like on Virginia. Like, Pusha's verse on Virginia is very strong, but then, like, the lines that you remember from Virginia, the same place I'm making figures at, like, that's Malice, right? Keys Open Doors is another example. Strong Pusha verse, but then Malice, throw it on the scale, feed your goddamn self. Like, even on I Pray For You from the Almost Dry album, like, that is even more amplified, that dynamic of Pusha going first and Malice going second, just because it was only the second time in years that we'd heard Malice and Pusha on a song like that together. So, like, I think that's another reason why I think this song is going to be, it's a great, perfect song to just be like, hey, let's just make sure, let's give y'all a taste of, make sure y'all know we back. So both of them do what they do. Like, getting into the verses, Pusha's verse is quintessential Pusha, like, elaborate drug dealer raps, metaphors, like white glove service with the brick, I am Luigi. Like, I'll add the photo of that here so you can see it. The picture that goes with it, shout out to Low Key. But then he's also got his shots at Ye and Drake on there. Pusha says, look at them, him and him, still waiting on Yeezy. I hope you got your squeegees. At your interviews, I just kiki. Life's peachy. ASAP with Riri. Like, there's so, like, I also, like, try not to talk about the beef that much here, but, like, from a music standpoint, it's there. If you know, you know. Yeezy has had a bunch to say since, they haven't, their relationship has gone south. But we know the dynamic that's bipolar between Yeezy and Drake. But then you throw in the Kiki, Riri, it's there. If you know, you know. Malice's verse, from top to bottom, he doesn't waste one bar. Like, quintessential Malice, like I said. He's got the biblical references in there, like when he says, from the tribe of Judah, I am Mufasa, never turn the other cheek, you'll die at the Oscars. Like, people questioning me, not questioning me, but people asking the question, someone asked me the question today, like, is this Malice or is it no Malice? And I think it's both. Like, I think you get, like I said, the biblical verses, but you also still got the braggadocious clips, raps, and rhymes that we're used to, but he still got the vibes of like showing you a better life, repentance from the life that you used to live, but not shying away from the things that they used to do and who they really are. And also important to know on this verse, there's no curses. So again, malice, no malice, that's up to you to decide. But I do think that it's a mixture of both. I think that's what we're gonna get on this whole album. And I said this on the episode we did about Till the Casket Drops. Is like he's always been leading toward the no malice vibes of, you know, talking about repenting and talking about, you know, his spirituality in songs. But it'll be interesting to see the dynamic of how much that shows up on this album. And I think we got a lot of it, like a good mixture of it shown in this first verse from Ace Trumpets. So I think it'll be interesting to see if they drop more singles, right? Like today is May 30th. July 11th is in our digital social ADHD terrible nobody can focus. Like July 11th is a long way from now. Like it's a lifetime, basically. So do I want to hear more music? Of course. But, you know, I do think there's some value to just holding it, right? Like we've heard the couple of songs, like basically this is officially like maybe the third song that we know is on there, and it's only going to be a handful, right? Like I think maybe 13, 15 tracks, right? Because we heard two of them at the Louis Vuitton fashion shows that they were in. So I like the idea of like I want to hear it in a full project and be able to have it cohesive. There's value to that to me. I think that's also why like when Tyler or Beyonce or someone like that drops the surprise album and you get to hear that project in its entirety when that first listen, because you're so excited because you weren't expecting it, but we know it's coming and that's cool. But I still think that being able to sit with it as a whole project, as opposed to having like a third or a fourth of the songs already, that's how I feel. That's how I felt about, I know we talked about Good Friday earlier, but that's how I felt about My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy. Is like we heard so many of the best records before the album dropped. So like I think, you know, considering the hype, I think giving us this one to hold us over until July 11th, I think is enough. But hey, we'll see. I won't be mad if we get more music. But at the same time, like I'd love to be able to sit and hear, you know, the majority of the songs for the first time in that progression, in that sequence that they made it for the album. All right, last thing before we go, I just want to talk about the production on the song. So as everyone should know, this entire album is produced by Pharrell. They said they recorded it in Paris, like they're in the studio at the Louis Vuitton headquarters while P is doing his creative director thing for Louis Vuitton. They're cooking up this album. But, you know, obviously, like, you know, I think the beat is well done. You know, it fits the vibe of the song. Drums go crazy. The synths on there, eerie, dark, just like typical Clipse music. But there's always been some talk, especially since they announced that, or it was announced that there's some friction between P and Chad. Everyone wants to say, oh, well, the beats don't sound the same and blah, blah, blah. And I don't disagree. I think that the point that needs to be made is like, we shouldn't be comparing beats in 2025 to beats from 2002, period. Like, there's no way for anyone, unless they were actually in the studio with them, to know who did what, who pressed what button. I think we have ideas because we pay attention and we know music. That's cool. But, like, at the end of the day, like, comparison, I think, is a thief of joy, and we do it too much in our culture. Like, I work in sports. We talk about sports. I have a whole other sports podcast where, you know, we're always talking about eras, talking about Kobe and Bron and Jordan. Like, let's just enjoy the fact that all of them are great. Let's enjoy the fact that the music that Pharrell and Chad gave us in 2002 was great. You know, stuff that they gave us in 2015 was great. Stuff that they gave us in 2020 was good. But comparing all that to what they did in 2002 is just, it's a different time and a different sound. So just enjoy the music. So I'm looking forward to it. I think, you know, from what we heard with Ace Trumpets, it sounds like sonically that's in the right place that needs to be for this type of album, for what we want and expect to hear from the Clipse. We're not going to have, I don't expect to have the same type of missteps that we had on Till the Casket Drop. We don't have to worry about them fishing for a single for the clubs. Like, this is going to be the Clipse with P in their bag, doing these drug dealer, dope boy raps, talking about, like the luxury and the life at a high level. But what makes it great is it's not just the dope boy raps for the sake of them dope boy raps. Like the metaphors, the imagery, the language in there is very well done. So I'm excited. My two of my favorite rappers are about to put out an album, so I'm excited. I'm great. I'm ready for it. Hope you're ready for it too. Look forward to it. July 11th is coming out. Let God sort them out. What a crazy album title too, right? Like that just seems like it's just such a hard, like, considering, right? I think it's such a perfect title because you consider their career, the things that they've been through, label drama, like back and forth beef, like Pusha's beef, and just like let God sort them out is really a statement to say like, yo, we are who we are. We're gonna do what we do. Let God figure the rest out. Like let God sort y'all out. Whoever thinks that they're in the same conversation with these guys, let God sort them out. All right. Cool. Great. Catch you next Neptune Sunday. Peace and love.